Which, tip for the spouse who's not the pleasing spouse, just ask your pleaser spouse to listen to this with you. Don't, I mean, yeah, if you say, hey, listen to this will be great. But they might not. But if you say, hey, will you listen to this with me? Yeah, it's a lock.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that's true.
Hey, welcome again to another episode of Expedition Marriage. I am Chris with my lovely bride, Jamie, and thank you so much for joining today. So this one hits home.
Yeah.
This is one near and dear to my heart.
Near and dear. I don't know about that, but it hits home nonetheless.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, so what are we talking about today?
We are talking about pleasers in marriage and like understanding the pleaser in marriage.
Sure. Yeah.
I think this is kind of a common one. This is another one of the love styles. We talked about avoider last week on our last episode. And this week we're talking about the pleasers. And like you said, this one hits close to home because I'm one of the ones who really needed to learn how to understand the pleaser in our marriage.
Sure, yeah.
And it wasn't me. I would just say that. It was not me.
Well, that's the hope, right? It's not just to learn more about what a style is or where it comes from and all that, but also what it's like to be married to and what you both can do to move ahead in security and growth.
Yeah, because this isn't, we touched on this last week, but this isn't about, labeling ourselves. I'm the avoider,
right.
My husband's the pleaser, whatever it is, and going, well, that's what we are.
Yeah, well.
We're not stuck like that. We are called to continual growth. And some of these love styles, like we came about them in honest ways, but we're also called to grow and come out of them. I think your tendencies will always be more, your default will always be a little bit more towards this pleaser type, but you have grown so much.
Thanks.
And yes. And so in how we've learned to navigate this as a couple and what the beautiful thing is in marriage, I think this is one of the greatest gifts in marriage, is that you grew and I got to help you.
Yeah.
God invited me to be part of your healing, and He invited you to be part of mine. And I think that's an incredible thing.
No, absolutely. We'll say it again. Next to God, we're each other's most important resource, most valuable resource.
Yeah.
And we are in this sanctification process together. We're growing together. We're trying to learn how to heal the parts that need to be healed, to grow the parts that need to be grown, right? And do that together, support one another through the whole process.
Yeah.
Right. And just like the avoiders, what the actions are being taken and decisions are mostly pre-conscious, unconscious ways of just learning how to navigate relationships and conflict. And so it's not really faking their way through it, which sometimes they can, and as we talk, might sound like, well, you're just being fake. It just, but it's not a conscious decision to be fake.
That's not the intent.
No, it's safety.
Yeah.
Safety and staying relationally connected is the intent.
Right. And honestly, we all have the default just because we're human beings. Like we want to seek pleasure and avoid pain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that kind of like when we develop these love styles and different reactions and all of that, that's usually the underlying goal. And it's honestly, it's also why we forget that we're one another's greatest resource in marriage, because we're so tempted to look out for ourselves and put ourselves first.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the brain's designed to do. I mean, God gave us this brain to keep us from being attacked by the bears and the lions and all that, that says, hey, if there's a threat, react.
Yeah.
And it happens uber fast.
Yeah.
Lightning fast.
Yeah.
And so sometimes this stuff will catch us off guard where we're not prepared for it, and then we're reacting before we know, because these are ways we've learned how to navigate conflict and relationships on a pre-conscious or unconscious level.
Yeah, and we do them over and over and over again, that they are just our automatic responses now, our automatic reactions, and we're not even thinking about it. So the pleaser, hits close to home.
Yeah, well, not only close, it just it lands the plane on it.
Now, do you feel, before we get into all the stuff, do you feel like you've always had these pleasing tendencies, like even back in like middle school, high school, all of that, like just, do you ever remember not really being a pleaser to where it's like, oh, I have a voice and I'm not afraid to use it? Or do you feel like you've always been that? Because I don't know, you have such a big, fun, bold personality that it's almost incongruent a little bit to know that you can be so out there, but yet you also can be tempted to hold so much back.
Sure. Well, so one of the themes or thoughts that a lot of pleasers will have is I'm loved when I'm easy and agreeable. So when I'm entertaining, when I'm enjoyable, right? That's right. So even if I'm a louder personality, but I'm amusing or entertaining people, because some pleasers can be so far that it's like, hey, where's the smiles? Is everybody smiling? Hey, let me see your smile.
I think we all know those people.
Yeah. Because if you're smiling, then it goes back almost to where you're talking about the controller. It's now it's predictable. Now you're probably not going to catch me off guard because I don't want to disappoint others. The pleaser doesn't want to disappoint because then they'll feel rejected.
Yeah.
That's a big challenge because pleasers learn that they're okay when relationships are okay. And so,
Or when others are okay.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's
like
where
if you're happy, then I can calm down for a minute because I know everything's okay.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think you've been that way for a very long time, or did I bring out that that beautiful trait in you?
Highlighted it. No,
I'm sure I exacerbated it.
Well,
relationships will do that. Marriage will do that.
I think there's a reason why we were attracted to one another as well.
Yeah.
I mean, those certain traits about that that were appeasing. And
I loved me a good pleaser.
But there is that certain thing that couples will a lot of times saying, hey, yeah, I used to find that very attractive when we were dating. But now that we've been married for a few years, it's an annoyance.
Yes.
It's a hindrance.
Yeah. No, I think that happens to a lot of us.
Sure. So coming from homes where there might be some anxious, angriness, overly critical caretakers. I'm the youngest of 5, right? So there's a little bit of older brothers fending for yourselves and survival mode that's going on with that. So there's certainly a learning to reduce tension. And that helps to avoid rejection. So being good, being helpful, those were all things that I learned very early out of the chute. These were helpful behaviors that kept you from being rejected, that didn't, the older siblings didn't go, I don't want you hanging around with me, parents and all that. It was just easier all along because they're dealing with the other siblings and their shenanigans.
Yeah.
So now I'm the one who's being good and all that. So it's like, oh, well, I'm glad that you're not like them.
Right. Well, and I would think too, and again, these are not, if you're a pleaser, it does not mean for sure you came from a home like this. So there's different reasons,
Painting with a broad
this
brush.
happens. Right. But I also believe homes where there's a lot of chaos and you've got this kid maybe wired with a certain personality who becomes, I don't want to add to that. I want to be the one that saves that. I have to learn how to be really good because I don't want to make anybody mad. There's already a lot of problems and issues going on. I don't want to contribute to that. So in a way of controlling that and making the house a little happier, let me be super good.
Yeah. Well, if there's and I was thinking if there even, because it doesn't have to be a parent thing. Parents could, like last time, parents could both be working. And so then the idea could be, well, then I don't want to cause waves. I don't want to be a problem. If there's a sibling who's the problem child, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to not burden my parents with my problems as well. So I'm going to try to be one that is more pleasing and takes care of things and maybe doesn't express needs or own emotions because those don't feel safe to do, or they don't feel like it's the right time or the right place to do it.
Yeah, well, and I also think you can be shaped as a pleaser by having a lot of criticism, by you bring home the B plus and get in trouble that it's not an A, with the high expectations, or that was a great goal, but you should have had 2. And you did a great job with this, but you should have done this. And so there's always the critical comments, and it kind of sets you up to like, you need to earn it.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking a bad joke that when people would compliment how
this is the stuff I hate. He's going rogue with the jokes.
Well, people would compliment our kids and how well behaved they were. And one of the bad dad jokes, right, I would say is, that's the conditional love.
Yes.
It's the conditional love.
Yes, but no, it's like it's not funny because it would absolutely do that if you raise your kids with all these high expectations that says I'm going to be super affectionate and super loving when you do bring home the A+,
Yeah.
when you are the star of the show, when you do have the most hits at the game, whatever it is, the love feels conditional. It doesn't mean it is,
Correct.
but it feels conditional. It comes across conditional.
Yeah. Well, because the beliefs, the agreements that are made is that, and I mentioned this before, I'm loved under these conditions. So if I'm easy, if I achieve, if I don't cause waves, if I'm the compliant one, if I'm helpful, then that's how I receive love and I avoid rejection.
Yeah.
And all of us, none of us want to be rejected or abandoned. I mean, that even comes down to Genesis 2, right? With the creation, it was not good for man to be alone, right? So we're all in a certain way striving not to receive that rejection. Now, praise God that we won't have that rejection, that God will not leave or abandon us or forsake us. And in some of the challenges in fixing or becoming more secure is understanding of who am I trying to please.
Yeah.
Right? Galatians 1:10 says that, am I trying to win the approval of human beings or of God?
Yeah. Are we trying to please man or are we trying to please God?
Right. And so pleasers are trying to please man at their own expense.
Yeah. Now, I'll ask you, that to me, just listening to that sounds exhausting. Is it emotionally, does it require a lot of emotional striving of you to try to, like, do you have to be on high alert, like watching the environments, watching everybody's environment? Because in our relationship, I would feel like I'm definitely the more high alert one, but I think my high alertness, my hypervigilance is a little more visible.
Yeah.
And a little noisier. But do you have that same experience as someone who was a pleaser of that, like, this is exhausting, I'm overwhelmed? Is that where, because pleasers are also prone to passive aggressiveness.
Sure.
Is that where that comes from? That I'm doing all of these things and I can't keep doing more? Where does that come from? Is that it?
Oh, yeah. There's absolutely a hypervigilance, right? Because if we do overextend ourselves, which we will, we like to say yes. And I'll expand on that later. And so we're trying to do everything for everybody else, right? There is a lot of opportunity for burnout or feeling stressed out or overwhelmed. And passive aggressive behavior is safer,
Yeah.
quote unquote,
Yeah.
safer to exhibit versus being directly confrontational. Because avoiding conflicts and hard conversations, that's a goal of the pleaser. Not a stated, not a clear, but it's that underlying. If we don't have hard conversations, then they don't turn into conflicts. If we don't have conflicts, then people don't reject.
Yeah.
And if I could jump in real fast and just...
And you going to interrupt yourself with
I'm going to
that?
interrupt myself. Sure. Well, you look like you were going to say something.
You're talking. Give yourself permission to jump in. Go ahead.
Thanks. I know. You know what? That's needed. And that's one of the tips. One of the tips, if you were a spouse who's married to a pleaser, is to help give them, you don't have to give them permission, just give them reassurance that they can have a voice. They're allowed to share their opinion. Their voice matters too. So one of the challenges that I had to learn, because a lot of pleasers will say yes too often. And pleasers like saying yes because people like hearing yes. Will you do this? Will you help me with this? Will you take care of this? Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
How nice of me.
Yeah. Again, back to that initial attraction. That was fantastic. That was fantastic to date. Like, that was great.
Yeah, until you're overextended.
Yeah.
Right? Until that becomes a problem. Now, learning that every time I said yes to one thing meant that I was saying no to something else was an eye-opener. Yeah. Because I like saying yes to stuff. And, well, wait, hold on. I'm saying no to stuff now because I'm saying yes to this. Well, yeah, if you're saying yes to this, it's no to that. There's only so much time, so much resource, so much energy before you're overextended.
So that's turmoil for you.
Oh, yeah. So that was that tension. I had to learn how to navigate and to become clear on that. And then when God's word spoke to me in Matthew 5:37, let what you say simply be yes or no. Anything else comes from evil. And in James 5:12 actually says the same thing, except let your yes be yes or no, so that way you may not fall under condemnation.
Yeah.
And now it means a little different thing, condemnation, sin and all that, but still sin separates. And so if I'm saying yes when I should say no, or I'll try, which is there's a tip for your pleasers out there. Say, maybe I'll try, or maybe it's no for now, but I might be able to give you a yes later. Then you're falling into condemnation, which is sin, and sin separates, which is exactly what pleasers are trying to avoid. So by my behavior, we're very counterintuitive in this sin-scarred, broken world. So by my own behavior, my own choices, I was creating some of the problems that I was trying to avoid.
Yeah. And it was creating problems because I know I would ask you to do things, or whether it's chores around the house or something to get done, and I would ask you, the answer would always be yes. And then you wouldn't have the bandwidth to do it. But
True.
I now have the expectation because you told me.
I said yes.
Yes, you told me that you would. And then all of a sudden you wouldn't. And so I would be upset. And that's where the passive aggressive behavior would come out. Well, I've had all this stuff going on. And now all of a sudden, now you're dumping your bag and finding your voice of all the things going on. But none of that was my fault. It all came down to you not letting your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yeah, there was already waves stirred. There's already conflict. Let's go.
Yes. And so there's where the separation was.
Let's go.
Yes. And
Which probably threw you really, well, I think it did throw you real far off because of nice. You don't see this welling up and all of a sudden.
yes, because there's no transition. There's no like, oh, I see him getting a little grumpier.
It's not funny, but
it's boom, you fall off a cliff. And I'm over here going, what in the world just happened?
Yeah.
Why are you upset? Because you're the one who told me you were going to get this done.
Yeah.
And now you're mad. It's not my fault you had a busy week and said yes when you shouldn't have. And that's where when you say things like,
But you should know how busy I am.
I have no idea. No idea.
Right. I didn't tell you.
But just saying, I'm not sure if I can, or if I get this stuff caught up this week, then I can do that this weekend.
Sure, yeah.
Or being honest and saying, can I do it next weekend? Because I'm exhausted this week and I'd really like to have Saturday as a down day. Just being honest, because being on the other side of a pleaser, there's the very ideal part of it. Because you are so pleasant. You're
the catering part.
Yes, you guys are you're kind, you're thoughtful, you're helpful, and there is a lot of yeses that I would have a tendency to get from you.
Sure, yeah.
That's great. Up until the point that now I feel like, why don't you trust me to tell me the truth? Why do you lie to me? Because that is, and that's where you're talking about the sin of a yes that's not genuinely a yes. That is a lie.
Yeah.
And so I was on the other side of your lies. Yes, I did that. And which, no, you didn't do that. But now I hear you in the background scrambling, trying to do it, the thing that you already told me you did.
Sure. Yeah.
And it would separate
Didn't
us.
want to get in trouble.
No.
Didn't want to cause problems.
And that's another point there, because it made me feel like the bad guy. Like I was this horrible monster that you had to walk on eggshells around. And so that's not what you were insinuating, but you were indeed trying to control my negative emotions. You were trying to keep me from getting upset.
Yeah.
And that stole my freedom from being able to be upset.
Not only that, but it also kept you from being able to get good at getting over things.
Yeah.
Because you weren't able to be practiced at it.
Right.
I was good because pleasers one, we have difficulty setting boundaries. So the book Boundaries in Marriage, if you haven't read it and you're a pleaser, read it.
Yeah.
If you have to hit pause and jump over to wherever you buy books and buy it now.
That changed your life and it changed my life.
Yeah, it definitely changed our lives for the better. But they also feel responsibility for other people's emotions, which is part of the boundaries thing.
And we're not even asking you to do that.
No.
I mean, that is the thing.
You didn't have to.
We have all girls. We have 3 daughters and me, and you would jump through every hoop there was to jump through to provide for us and to almost, in a sense, like keep us happy.
Yeah.
Which, if anything,
Placated.
yes, if anything about life, if you have the goal of making somebody happy, it doesn't work. And I just heard that today. There was a podcast with two therapists that were on it, and it was being shared about that, about the parents who have the goal to make their children happy are actually raising them to be very anxious adults.
Preach.
And
Yeah.
it's so true, because that happiness doesn't allow us, anybody on the other side of that, when you're trying to please us, it doesn't allow us opportunities to deal with the real world where we don't get everything we want.
Right. You don't build any resilience.
Yes.
You don't
And
get to
that's the
practice it.
last thing. Like, we never wanted to teach our daughters that.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and that's, I was just even going back to this idea of being responsible for others' feelings. And so that's where you're trying to pick a place where to go to eat.
Yeah.
It is monumental
Yeah.
task.
Decisions were hard for you.
Because if the food's bad, the service is bad, whatever, bad experience, it's on the pleaser because they decided.
Yeah.
So a lot of pleasers will want buy-in for a lot of decisions. I know I'm talking about this something to eat, but buy-in in a lot of decisions. Because if you buy in on the decision, then
it's my fault too.
it's not hanging out there on my own.
Yeah, and being on the other side of that, there's so much where I'm like, oh my word, would you just make a decision? Like, why do you need my input on all of these things?
Yes.
And I have no idea, because my brain doesn't work that way. Like, I'm not, if we go somewhere and the food is bad, it's everybody's fault but mine.
And then you'll say something. I love this. You'll say something like, because for me, it's my fault, and that's all that kind of thing. But in that situation, it's like, oh well, the food was bad. Well, and I'd be like, yeah, that's why I was wanting to go over to this place instead. And you would say something like, well, it's not my fault you didn't lead.
That's right. I tell them that all the time. It's not my fault. I'm like, but also, why didn't you say that? When it's like, in a relationship, in your marriage, you want to have honesty.
Yeah.
And if you're not giving me who you really are, you're not sharing with me what you really want, you're not sharing what you really need, you're not sharing what you like and what you don't like, I'm almost, and this goes back to the beginning, what you're talking about, where it feels like I'm getting this fake version of you. But I think it's a difference where it's not necessarily fake. It's just not.
It's protected.
Fully real.
Yeah,
you're not allowing parts of you to be seen.
Sure, you're seeing this facade, this shield that covers up other places, that presents what feels most likely to not get rejected.
Yeah.
That feels most likely to maintain the relationship, because if the relationship is not okay, then the pleaser doesn't feel okay.
Yeah.
They're feeling uneasy and feel like they disappointed, and there's no way to fix that. And that's one of the worst feelings that a pleaser feels. It's like a pit in the stomach where it just don't know what to do. And what's funny is I've brought that up and when we've talked with groups and all that, talked to pleaser about that. And then you'd have people who are raising their hand and like, yeah, I know what that means, like almost instantly. And then you have other people who are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's weird.
Yeah. Yes. It's entirely foreign.
Why would that be a thing?
Yeah. Well, the problem is where this can affect your marriage is it is hard to be emotionally connected to a spouse who doesn't really let you see the real them.
Sure.
And we have clues of it. Like, we know deep down, it's like, there's no way you're okay with all the things you're saying you're okay with. You're not everything is fine. And then we get the big glimpses of when we do fall off the passive aggressive cliff, where all of a sudden everything that you haven't been fine with now comes out.
The pleaser volcano erupts.
Yes. And now I'm left with, why didn't you tell me that?
Sure.
Why didn't you let me in on your stress? Why didn't you tell me you didn't want to buy that? Why didn't you tell me you didn't want to go there or do this? Like, what? And we begin to think, what is wrong with me? What is so bad about me that you can't share yourself with me?
Right.
Why can't you be vulnerable with me? I'm sitting here in the marriage going, I fully love you. I don't need you to earn your way into anything. So why couldn't you be honest with me? That's hurtful. And that creates exactly everything that you're trying not to have happen.
Absolutely. We create what we fear.
Yeah.
And we work counterintuitively. It's not a new thing. And even this idea of I'm skipping an episode or two ahead, but okay, so why didn't you being honest that you blame yourself? Because the thought, if we play that out, the story that we're telling ourselves is, because if you did love me, you would do this, or you would have shared that.
Yeah.
And so that's what being married to a pleaser can devolve
Yeah.
into. And so if you're the pleaser listening to this, which tip for the spouse who's not the pleasing spouse, just ask your pleaser spouse to listen to this with you.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, listen to this will be great. But they might not. But if you say, hey, will you listen to this with me? Yeah, it's a lock.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that's true. It's true. So let's talk about that then.
Yeah, okay.
Let's talk about like how the spouse who's not the pleaser, how they can love their pleaser spouse well and to help you grow, because that is the goal. The goal is to not stay in this kind of dysfunction. I mean, you don't want to do that. I don't want you exhausted like that. And I want you to have a voice.
Right.
I don't want to be the big bully in the marriage. And I don't want the pressure of having to make all the decisions.
Oh, sure.
I don't need you to get my buy-in on everything, because then that's putting a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah. Though unfair and unbiblical pressure. And because there's this withholding of opinions and just this agreement on that, it can build up a lot of resentment. And a pleaser can feel that, well, I'm always the one has to go along. I don't ever get my say. I don't ever get to do what I want. And so they really build up this story that they're telling themselves that I'm the put upon one.
Yeah.
Why can't they just like how nice I am and all these good things that I do, but it's still inauthentic.
No, and I'm over here going, honestly, well, you did that to yourself.
Yeah. You set yourself up for failure.
It's not my fault that you didn't bring these things to the table.
It's not. You are correct. And what you've actually done is a great thing in part of our journey to security is, and you have really helped me a lot. You find a voice. Is you've tried to create more safety to express my needs and or my differing opinions, and sometimes you'll confirm if I was really okay with something. Like, okay, you are good with this.
Yeah, don't just tell me that it's okay if it's not.
Yeah, and you didn't do it like in a pressured way either. It was like, okay, no, really. I mean, I want to know. I mean, if this is what, because let's talk about this. Or if you're even if you're reserved, maybe if you have hesitations or struggles with this, because you knew this was a struggle of mine, so you'd reach across. You'd be my resource. You'd be my suitable helper and reach across my struggle and try to help me get over that. And so you'd check in with me to get my way in, or even when other people were making decisions and you didn't hear my voice, because a lot of times a pleaser really is kind of okay with what the rest of the crowd is agreeing, and they're pretty easygoing. But you would also then make sure check in and go, all right, now how's Dad feel about Dad? What is there something you want to make sure that we're getting done? For some reason, I had this picture of being at Disney in my head, and it's like, I want to go here, I want to do this.
What do you want to ride, honey?
Well, Dad, what do you want to do? And so that kind of a thing. And so it was very encouraging to be honest, even when it was uncomfortable. Not necessarily at Disney, but other things when it was uncomfortable, when you knew that it could feel like there could be conflict or disagreement. It's like, and you've even told me in the past, like, I'm going to disagree or I'm going to get upset about things, but I'm a big girl. I'll get over it. Yeah. And you got to let me have my emotions.
Because I don't want you to just let me have my way all the time. And so, and I think when you have a spouse who is a pleaser, and because even like what you're talking about, the picking the restaurant, that's going to be relatable to somebody who does not want the pressure of ruining the whole after church lunch because they picked the wrong place. But even knowing like these are the things that can be difficult for you, making bigger decisions, being able to be on the other side of that and go, if we don't like it, it's okay.
Yes.
It's not your fault. Like proactively sharing these things and giving you, like I would always try to encourage you to try things, encourage you to make decisions, and also give you the freedom to fail. Yeah. And it's like, let's go ahead and pull the trigger on this. Let's go ahead and do this. If you think this is best, let's go do it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We tried. Yeah. Yeah. No, in all honesty, you moved part way across the country with me because we felt God said move. And no job or anything, like no family. And that's where that reassurance was. It's like, you're making the right decision. I'm behind you.
Yeah. That was huge, instrumental, because I would have crumbled.
Yeah.
without your support, without that. So yeah, so creating that safety, saying that allowing me to have a voice, allowing me to have disagreements, and to be gentle with me if I'm sharing something that you can tell that I'm kind of
Yeah.
beating around the bush and struggling getting it out. You were kind of like, oh no, just say it. I'll try to make sure that I get what you're saying, and try not to, if you're worried about how it's going to come out, just say it and then we'll work on that.
Right.
And pleasers will do that. We'll beat around the bush a lot. Well, let me cover this angle and let me cover that angle.
And meanwhile, I'm over here going, I know exactly what you're going to say, but I'm going to let you do that.
Just get to it, man.
And that is the thing on the other side of that, like to be more gentle in conflict with a pleaser.
Yeah.
Because to know that pleasers are almost always conflict avoidant, that's the thing they're trying to avoid, is disunity, is unhappiness, is conflict, all of the harder things. And so approaching that knowing, you know what, let me have this conflict with you. Because those are some of the things I would say. It's like, well, I am going to disagree with you, or I do disagree with you, and that's fine.
Yeah,
It's like,
throwing that in there.
That's
That's fine.
I'm allowed to have my opinions.
Absolutely.
I'm allowed to disagree with you, and I need you to know that that's okay.
Yeah. Well, because then just carrying that through, agree to do something, follow that through. It doesn't go well. Okay, it's my fault. No, I'm going to hear it. I'm going to pay the price and the consequences. Where it's like saying, hey, you know what? If this is what you think is right to do, it's okay. If it fails, then and you've told me this in not so many words, I'd rather you do something and fail than not do things.
Yeah.
Because do something that you feel this is the right thing to do and fail, because you're not doing things is worse, because then there's no movement,
Yes.
there's no growth.
Just make a decision.
Yeah,
And to me, that's like a guaranteed fail.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
You're failing before you
if
start.
never tried, right?
You're failing because you didn't
That's
start.
right. So you want to provide opportunities to encourage vulnerability. You want to appreciate when they do. And if they do share things with you, if they do share opinions, go with it. Go with it. Don't make it difficult for them to share.
You sure you want to do that?
Yes.
Okay, well, if it turns out bad, you're going to get blamed.
Right. Right. And
Because that's the thought. That's where the pleaser's running through their heads. So if you could count that off and going, you're doing that. Yeah, that sounds great. Hopefully it works
Yeah.
out. But if not, oh well.
yeah. And you really, to be biblical and scriptural with this, it is about being able to speak truth in love. Because I don't want to start walking on eggshells around you.
True.
Just because I know these things are hard and all that. But I want to be able to, nor do I want to say, because I am a little bit bolder in my personality.
Sure.
I'm not conflict avoidant. I would have a tendency to say things more harshly than they need to be. And for me to know, I need to really focus on speaking truth in love.
Right.
Because if it's not wrapped in love, your pleaser's going to crumble underneath it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even then, because tone has a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
So if you're coming at somebody and it feels like you're coming at them at a 7, but internally you're only at a 2, just because you might be a little more
Yeah.
passionate.
Yeah.
And you see the reaction. You see them kind of shutting down, or
deer in the
Yeah,
headlights.
deer in the headlights, because pleasers tend to be freezers. That's the time when to call that out. It's a technique called labeling. If you can speak out what you think is happening, and then now that you're getting it on the table, and now everybody is able to deal with that and work through it, versus just going, well, I think this is what they're doing, so I'm going to talk about as if that's what they're doing. Or just let's put it on the table, work through it. If that's not what's going on, then great. Then maybe we can find out what's going on and overcome that.
And that's where growth for the pleaser is going to come in.
Sure, yeah.
That's where and that's the question, you call it the magic question that you learned to ask me.
Yeah.
Are you mad at me, or are you mad at something else?
Yeah, or just upset, or
Yeah, or
frustrated,
right.
whatever it is. Or is it at me or somebody else?
Right.
Because I don't want to be the one to blame. I don't want to be the one who messed things up. I don't want to disappoint. And so I know if it's not me, wow,
Yeah.
I can turn off my flight, freeze.
Right.
I can
And
come back
even
into the
just
situation.
If you don't ask the question, then you're going to automatically believe that I'm upset with you by default. And the honest truth is, sometimes I am mad at you.
It happens
And because you've asked,
regularly.
now I can say, no, I am mad at you, and here's why.
Yeah.
But usually because pleasers don't tend to marry other pleasers. It can happen.
It can.
But they usually marry the other side of the spectrum.
We're called complementary.
Yes, complimentary. That's it. And so I do, if I'm upset, it's kind of known that I'm upset. And so it's so easy for you to see that and automatically be triggered to, oh, I got to walk on eggshells now.
Sure.
I've got to shut down. So you have a responsibility for your own growth to, like you said, put that on the table. Are you mad? Let me know what we're dealing with here so I can prepare for that. And also learning how to, the times where I do say, no, it is you, baby. It's you that I'm mad at. You've got to get comfortable with that.
Sure. Yeah.
You've got to get comfortable sitting in discomfort, knowing conflict's not going to destroy you. We're not going to head for divorce court because I'm upset with you one time or we have conflict.
Although it'll feel that way.
Right.
That's something
Right.
that pleasers actually do. They fear the next argument will be the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
So throwing in some reassurance is helpful, but you're right. Learning that conflict is a door, or can be a doorway to deeper intimacy, is huge.
Yeah.
Because now it's not this thing to be avoided. It's something to learn to navigate. So then you can
Yes.
become closer and more, or a stronger
Yeah, and now
relationship.
we have evidence that we can handle conflict. So now it's not nearly as scary.
Yeah.
Now you go from believing it's the end of us to, oh, we can actually do this.
Yeah.
And everything's okay.
Yeah, and then so that way we can have genuine connections. We can be real with each other. We got to be real with each other. We have to be authentic with each other and not be always worried that, oh, it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Because we'll always be worried that it's going to fall apart if we don't take that step,
Yes.
if we don't move forward. And that will affect both of us.
Yes. And then I think, I don't want to miss this, is you have to learn how to identify your own needs so you can share them.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to. And so in those trigger points where it's like, oh no, things are going to be bad. What is it I'm feeling right now? What is it I need? And even asking for time.
Yeah.
If you feel put on the spot, it's like, let me think about it. And then I will get back to you and let you know, to where
Sure.
you're like, hey, what am I feeling right now? What's actually going on? And then you can come back and share that.
Yeah.
Because your spouse needs to know who they're married to.
Sure.
They need to know
Details.
Yes, they need to know what's going on with you and in your heart. They need to know what needs you have and what desires you have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's critical.
Yeah.
It's critical. Two becoming one. If you're not sharing that stuff, it's hard to become
Yeah.
one.
And that's the thing. It's like a pleaser needs to know that their voice matters and that they don't have to be easy or pleasing to be loved.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
so that is the message that really needs to sink into their hearts.
Definitely. And let's help that message sink in by going to prayer.
Alrighty.
All right. Father God, we just thank you for knowing the real us and still loving us. And for every listener married to a pleaser, we just ask for grace and patience and wisdom for them. And for the pleasers, for them themselves, we just pray that you'll help them to find courage to be known and to speak truth in love and to trust that their worth is not found in perfection or approval, that it's already been called by you, Lord Jesus. And we just pray that you'll let our marriages be safe places to grow and to find healing in and to please you in the ways that we speak and act with one another. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so I want to close with this. I want to give you, and these will be in the show notes as well, I want to give you 3 reflective questions that you can ask your pleaser. So these are conversation
you're a giver,
questions
honey.
you can have because you want to have open-ended open-ended questions with them, and I am a giver.
You are
I
a
am.
giver.
That's my true nature. Thank you for calling that out. So, like I said, they're going to be in the show notes, but here they are. 1 is, what is one thing that I can do to help make tomorrow easier for you? You can replace tomorrow with this week, this situation, but you need to give me something. You need to think about your need. So what is that one thing I can do that will help you? Second question is, what reactions or emotions of mine are stressful for you? And have a conversation around that. Like, what is it that makes you stressed out that you see in me? And maybe why that happens. And then is there an area of your life, even with me, where you feel like you have to walk on eggshells? And why is that?
Yeah.
Talk about these things and be in a position to listen, to ask more open-ended questions and get conversational about it, because we want you growing out of this. You are not stuck here. We worship a transforming God,
Amen.
and that's what he can do in your marriage, and that's what we're trusting him to do.